Okay, hi everybody. Today we're going to have a look at a Blanchard model 22AD-42. It's 42-inch chuck. This is a semi-automatic Blanchard. We're probably going to have to do this video in two pieces because there's a lot to go through. But the way I have the machine currently set up here, we're currently running at 480 volts, 460 volts, and I have a certain amount of travel programmed into the control, which we will go into later on in the video. But in this position where you would want to start off with the machine, you could turn your chuck on from here and you get the light indicating that it's on, and you can shut it off and you can do the demag. And if you're in the variable, you can change the magnetism. You can go up with the wheel and down with the wheel. Now the amount of travel that I'm going up and down here has to be programmed in, say, 6 inches. If you could see that your 6 inches would be below the chuck, that means if you put in 6 inches, you would be able to get down onto your work surface. But we'll go into that later on. I could also jog the chuck. This is pretty much a fixed speed. And I can move the table in under the wheel and move it out again. Well, the amount of travels is set down here. There's some switches behind the panel there, like a standard Blanchard, that you would adjust the length of that stroke. That stroke is completely traditional. The only thing different on this is the controlling of the vertical feed. So you cannot start the wheel without somehow jumping out switches while this door is open for safety reasons. There's a switch mounted up here that lets the machine know that the door is closed. And after every cycle of the machine, the control has to see that this door has been opened and closed again. So you can't just wire the switch closed, because the machine would only do one cycle, and then you'd have to open the switch to reset it. So we don't want to do that. So what you would do is, when everything is set up properly, you come over here and close the door. And now you still have this on this panel. Since we're on the topic, you still have a up and a down, and then even a very fine couple of tenths each pulse. Okay, so if we want to take a look at this screen, what we have here is a rotation of our chuck, the speed in inches per minute. We have a amp meter for the grinding wheel starting up, the start switch for the grinding wheel, start switch for coolant, move the chuck in, move the chuck out, start the chuck, jog the chuck, change the speed of the chuck, stop, 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 all stops. Okay, and then over here we have a selection of working the machine manually or by hand, which is what we're going to do. Or if you invested in an in-process gauge, such as a control gauge or a Marpos or Mulvomatic, there's many of them out there. So we select it hand. And then you've got a choice for your type of downfeed, whether you want it to be stepped at interval, timed, or just a continuous. In this position, I have it a certain amount of time goes between each feeding pulse. Then, of course, you've got your rapid up and your rapid down with the wheel, and then your inch down, your very fine increment, and then you have your feed rates. You have a coarse feed rate and a fine feed rate. I have them both turned up all the way to make the video go quickly. And then the next one you have here is your changeover point, the point at which you stop feeding at the coarse feed and start going into the fine. I have it set at 2,000s before 0. I could put it at 1,000s. All right, in here, I have programmed 6 inches. And if I wanted to reset that back to 6 inches, you'd see I have 6 inch and 10 thousandths. Now that 10 thousandths is what I'm actually going to be feeding off the part. But I can remove that, and now I have 6 inches. And that 6 inches allows me to go up 6 inches. They have a safety cover on here, it's a pain, or down 6 inches. And you want to make sure you're not going to slam into the chuck. So now, with the door closed, you can start your chuck. You see the needle start to move up. I could start my grinding wheel. We lost our light. I could start the grinding wheel. Move my work under the wheel. That carriage is moving in now. I want to have my coolant on, otherwise it will not go into automatic. So everything is on. I've got my chuck in and turning. I've got my water on and the grinding wheel on. So now we go over here. Like I said, I'm going to do with the timed feeding down, the fastest it can feed in this case, because I'm not grinding anything. We're going to change over at 2,000ths. And so what you want to remember to do is to take this 6 out of here, put it back to 0, then put in, let's say, the 1,000ths, 10,000. So now you have it's going to go from where it is now, and when we were supposed to touch off the workpiece, we forgot to touch off. Okay, I'm being told we're running out of time. We're going to come back at the second video.